Okay, lesson 10. I walked into a second grade classroom one day, and being superintendent was like, sometimes it was bizarrely cool, and people treated you with much more respect than you deserved. And one of the things teachers would always do, and this teacher did, I walked into the classroom and the teacher says, "Boys and girls, stop what you're doing," which was like, stop learning. And she says, "Stop what you're doing. We have a very important visitor. We have the superintendent of schools. Does anybody know what the superintendent does?" It's my moment of enlightenment. I hadn't been a superintendent very long. I wasn't trained to be a superintendent. I wanted to know the answer to this question. And here's the thing about second grade. You can ask second graders anything. Anything. Because they got the answer. So when she says, "Does anybody know what the superintendent does?" this little guy down in front, you remind me of him also, I'm afraid. This guy down in front, his name was Michael, and like every other kid in the room, he had his hand up. I mean, every kid had their hand up, but Michael, he was trying so hard to follow the rules, but he knew the answer. And he started shaking from head to toe, and finally he jumps up, he says, "I know." Teacher says, "All right, Michael, what does the superintendent do?" He didn't hesitate for a second. He says, "The superintendent is the guy in charge of Super Nintendo." It sounded like a pretty good job to me. Oh, but this teacher was a genius. She says, "Michael, that was a very creative interpretation of the language. Actually, the superintendent is the leader of our schools. Does anybody know what a leader does?" Every hand in the room went up. Every hand. And way in the back where you guys are, there was this little girl named Andernetta. I still got her picture on my desk. She had her hand raised so high, I was afraid she was going to dislocate her shoulder. Thankfully, the teacher called on her and said, "Okay, Andernetta, what does a leader do?" Andernetta gets all squared away. She says, "A leader is someone who goes out and changes things to make things better." Awesome. I mean, it was, well, let me put it this way. I've read every leadership book that's ever been published. I flunked out of leadership school 3 times. This was the single most powerful definition of leadership I'd ever heard in my life. I wrote it down on my hand. I didn't want to forget it. I've actually got it engraved on a plaque at home. And I was so energized by this that I went roaring back to the central office, where, as it happened, we had a meeting of all of our school principals. So these are all people who've got, professional degree in educational administration. They've got master's degrees and PhD degrees. And I come roaring in and I said, I got it. I got good news and bad news. They said, okay, it's you again. What's the good news? I said, the good news is I got our job description. Change things, make things better. Oh man, yeah, that's fabulous. We're in. What's the bad news? The bad news is the second graders already know. They do. So do their older siblings, so do their parents, so do their neighbors. They know why we're here. Our job is not to honor and hold on to the status quo. Our job is to change things and make things better. To do our job, we need to know where better is, and we need to change something every day in the direction of better. See, Andernetta is not, she's demanding, but she's not unreasonable. She wants us headed in the direction of better, but she knows we're not going to get all the way to better in one day or 1 week or 1 year or maybe even in 1 decade. But she sure expects us to be headed in that direction each and every day. And I think this is our calling. That our job is to answer Andernetta's definition of our role. We are the ones. We're here. We're called to serve, and the public is counting on us. If we listen to those around us, if we are proud of what we do and who we do it for, and by the way, pat each other on the back from time to time, if we know what we believe in and we're willing to say so, if we're unreasonable when reasonable is not the best choice, if we're able to do what's right even though we know we're going to be told we're wrong, if we can change the rules to get a better outcome, if we can make doing the right thing not only possible but necessary, we can change things and make things better. That's why I'm so excited about public service. My whole life I've been hanging around people like you, and every single day makes me more excited than the day before. The public is on our side. They may not know it all the time. They may not express it exactly the way we would like to. But at the end of the day, they're counting on us to know where better is, to be moving in that direction, and to be relentless in our pursuit. So that when Andernetta grows up, and she has grown up, she'll be voting in this election. When Andernetta grows up, when your sons and daughters grow up, when the generations after you grow up, they'll be able to say, as I think we are able to say, we are grateful for those leaders in the public service that actually did change things and make things better. That's my only wish for you. Thank you very much.